Most restaurants think making pasta in-house actually makes the restaurant better, but in reality, for many kitchens, it actually creates more operational problems than chefs expect. What's up? I'm Michael from Brooklyn Pasta Lab. This week we served over 85 restaurants in New York City, and this is why most restaurants should not be making pasta in-house. And I've seen this in tons of restaurants that we've spoken to, and this is what I noticed. Something I noticed over the years that restaurants underestimate is how much time, labor, and most importantly, the inconsistency that making pasta in-house brings. So making pasta is one thing, but making pasta every single day at high volume without any failure is another, and it's extremely difficult. So point number one is labor. So obviously fresh pasta takes time. Even in a small restaurant, one cook could spend 3-4 hours a day making pasta, rolling, resting, cutting it, or if you're extruding, that also takes a ton of time because typically you'll have a small machine, not like large machines like a manufacturer like us would have. So it definitely takes a ton of time. That's hours of prep that could be used towards, sauces or proteins, breaking down proteins, and other parts of the menu that, actually doing the work in-house can actually create more value and save you money in labor. Point number two is having an actual dedicated pasta person. So a lot of restaurants solve their pasta making in-house issue by having a dedicated pasta person. But it can work up to an extent because then you run into another problem. What happens when that person is on vacation, sick, or just has their normal days off? Typically, it would just really make sense for the chef to just have one guy or girl on the pasta station because, of course, they'll make it consistently. They're the ones making it all the time. And then the main thing is that, well, what happens when they're off or what happens when they're gone for the day and then they need more during service because they ran out? It's typically like an AM or morning shift position. And you do run into those three little risks there with if they're away, sick, or it's their normal days off. And then also if you run out of pasta mid-service, you never know. And typically a lot of the other staff that is like during service, line cooks, they don't actually know how to make the pasta. And in my eyes, that's a big risk because you're putting a product that is like the main product of the restaurant's menu, especially if you're an Italian restaurant, which would typically make or buy fresh pasta. If you're putting all of that onto one position, there's so much risk there, and that's something you want to avoid. And that leads into number three, which is the change in volume of production during certain days of the week. So let's just say most likely in the middle of the week you will have, or beginning of middle of the week, you'll have slower days, and towards the end of the week production will ramp up. And what happens is it's fine on those slowish days, but having to double or triple or even quadruple production for certain days of the week, it's not really something that you want to be worrying about. You don't want to be worrying about having to make 4 times the amount of pasta in one day in this small amount of space that you have. And it really puts like a constraint on your prep team when you can be using that towards a lot of other things that a lot of prep teams need to be taken care of, like cleaning different greens, herbs, breaking down proteins, fish, things like that require more attention, and that can actually save you money if you actually do know how to break down the fish properly, or break down meat and portion meat correctly. If you're really focusing on that rather than being pulled away and focusing on this other fresh pasta task, it can really, really eat at you when you're prepping for those really busy days. And there's always that question, did we make enough for the weekend or did we make too much? And that's something you don't really need to worry about when you do outsource your pasta. You don't need to worry about the flour, the eggs, all those ingredients that take up a ton of space in the kitchen as well. So those are a couple of things to think about. And a little bonus one here is the consistency. So consistency is super important when making fresh pasta, and when it's made in-house, even if you do have a second person making it, that second person that could possibly be filling in for the main person's days off, they are not going to have as much experience. They're going to make it different. So what we advise is, working with a pasta supplier that is making large amounts of pasta every day, and you're getting people making the pasta with tons of experience, and they know exactly what to look for with hydration, storage, and just quality control in general. And one thing about consistency is that you can't really assign a dollar value to it, but you can assign a price to reliability. And that's what restaurants are really buying when they work with a professional pasta supplier: the ability to depend on the product showing up in the same way every single time. So to close this out, making pasta in-house is obviously like a beautiful thing. That's where I came from. And in some restaurants, it absolutely makes sense. But for many kitchens, the real goal isn't making pasta. The real goal is about running a smooth and consistent prep and service every night and day. And sometimes the smartest move is letting professionals handle the production so the kitchen can focus on execution. And if you're a chef in New York City right now using fresh pasta in your restaurant, whether you're making it in-house or you're outsourcing it, you can reach out to us directly, brooklynpastalab.com, and we'll send free samples to you this week.